Oh, I'm sorry. My video is just paused by mistake, and I figured it out like why you cannot access the web page. Just because in my VM virtual machine Sophos, I just opened my network settings. So because I opened the network settings and I didn't commit the changes, so the network service is blocked, so I cannot access the device. After the reboot, you just can access the same IP configurations, and you could. This is the login page to your Sophos firewall. So provide your username, that is admin, and your password, which is you changed, not the admin. Just provide the password. It will remind you to register your serial number. So I select I do not want to register and continue. Yep, the initial configurations has been completed, and now you will be guided to the Sophos firewall window, where you can by default you can see is the control center, where you can see Sophos 01B, Sophos OS 17.5 MR10, and you can see what all traffics, what all configurations you have already in your network. You can see there is a firewall. You can see the performance services VPN configurations which are in this device. This is, as I used it before, that's the reason why it shows some active firewall rules. There are one business and one two network rules. You can see the go to firewall. You can see these are the default rules in your, because usually in some firewall devices there won't be any rules will be created by default. You need to manually create the rule for access your LAN to WAN. But in Sophos, when you're configuring the Sophos for the first time, the access to WAN will be auto configured. You can see here the default network. In from LAN zone to WAN zone, any service will be accepted. That means your Sophos firewall will be allow access to internet for your LAN zone. You can restrict it by creating the new rules. So by default, this will be the default rule base you can see here, and we are going to see administration. A bit slow. Okay, device access, that's part of licensing. And I am going to enable the default device access for admin on WAN zone, so I can access my device using my WAN IP address. And this is one thing I did just now because I want to access my device. Currently I configure a local IP for my network. Because I'm configured the local IP, I cannot access the internet. So I just want to remove this restriction. Just if later I want to show you some upgrade process on my device, so I just want to remove this. Only for this purpose, right now I did access for WAN zone, but for you, the people who are working in the production, They also must enable the admin services enable for WANs on HTTPS. Only you enable admin services for HTTPS service in WAN zone, you can access your firewall using your WAN IP address. Also, this is the first step you must do after logging to your firewall in production. For lab, it's not necessary. For production, it's very important because if you not enable the WAN zone for admin access, you cannot access your device over internet. Another things you must be careful is go to admin settings. You can see here the admin console for HTTPS port is 4444, and for user portal, this I will talk later. For admin console, this is 4444. For example, there are situations happen like you have two WAN provider or you have two WAN links connected to your Sophos firewall, port B and port C, and you can access your device using one WAN IP, but another WAN IP you cannot able to access even though you provide all this your IP address and the port number. You cannot access this because not because of you not enable the access on WAN, so it's just because of your port number. Because for some WAN, I mean internet provider or ISP will block this port number. So the best option what you need to do is you can change the port number to a different number. For example, I'm changing my port number to 444. 10444. Using this port number, I can access my device over WAN and over LAN. So the difference will becomes here. Instead of 4444, I should input 10444. And if you're using a WAN IP address, you just provide HTTPS, your WAN IP address colon 10444. So you can able to access your device over LAN and WAN. So I'm just applying. Okay, I'm just applying here. Done. So I will lose access to the device now because I changed my port number. Let me see, I can go to another place. I want to see my network settings. Okay, I could not able to access this one, so the best option is I want to try to change my port number and to try to log in again. 10444. Yes, now it's going to my login. Yeah, it's okay. I changed my port number here now. Yeah, now I could able to access it. Go into network. And I see here I have a port A. That's my depends on the different hardware models or software models of your firewall. For VM it will be common for all, but for your hardware devices depends on your hardware model. The port name will be changed. Some will be port E1, port E2, some is port ABC, a different port E0, E1, E0, E2, something like this. So here I can see it's connected, and this is my LAN IP and this is my WAN IP, which is provided by home router, that is IP address 192.168.0.105 with 24-bit subnetting. It's a LAN. It's a public IP, private IP address, so even though I'm just saying it's WAN IP, so don't be confused with that one. It's just because of it's provided by my router for home use. You can add one more WAN. It depends on the number of ports available. You can add one more LAN, one more WAN, whatever things you needed you can add. So this is the basic configurations, initial configuration for your firewall. You just add this configuration, means make sure like you want to change some configuration for your net interface, you can come to network, configure network, and change this one. You go here and click edit. You can edit the interface IP address, or you want to change this one, you can go to edit here. So it will be open with your port B, your net which zone you are configuring, then your what type of connection you have. It's a static IP or PPP or DSL modem or a DHCP connection. So this is what you need to do in the starting. And one thing now I'm going to show you is for how you can, because you can see in the control center, you know, the device shows is SF OS is 17.5. I want to upgrade this firmware of this OS to 18. So how you can upgrade the firmware? You just need to go to backup and firmware, go to firmware. Now this is your available version is 17.5, and you can just go here and check if once you have access, the device have access to the internet, you just go here and check for new firmware. Right now as I changed my WAN IP, my internet IP, system IP, I changed to LAN access, so I cannot access to that one. There are sometimes you cannot have access to internet, so the solution is you just go to Sophos website, and the same process where you can download, where you download the Sophos operating system. Here you have option for firmware updates. In the same network protection, go to firmware updates, go here and click this one and search for which firmware you want. You can, now the latest one is 18, go for 18, so you can get and you can download the latest firmware. Once you download, after you download, you can just come to this location and you can click here. So this is the window for, you can use this window to update or upgrade your firmware. I just click here, just ask me to find my latest firmware. I just downloaded it, but I forget where I keep in my machine. Let me check, where is that? Something like VI. Yeah, this is the firmware file. This is the firmware update file, that is VI18 GA build 354 354.6. Just select this one and upload the firmware. The firmware will replace the non-active firmware image on your device. Are you sure you want to upload the firmware? And this is the end of this video. After the firmware is updated, if it's not, if the device is not hanged, I can just let you see how it's updating, but sometimes the system take a little more longer time. So let's see how long time it will be take. I just click OK. Firmware update will take a little more time, so I think it's best way that instead of waiting for a long time, I'm just going to stop the video, and next video I will update with the updated firmware. Thank you for watching.